Hey guys, today we're sitting down with Latisha and Nita from Dementia Friendly BCS to learn more about their organization and what they're doing within our community. So let's start with a little bit about you guys. Are you native to Bryan-College Station, or did you choose to be natives, choose to be locals?
Um, my husband and I both went to school at A&M,
Okay.
and then we, not at the same time, and we ended up meeting a couple of years later in Houston and married. And when we were talking about retirement, we thought this was a great community, so brought us back here about 8 years.
I love that. And what about you? How did you end up here?
I have worked in Bryan for the majority of my career, but which is too far away.
Yeah, not too far at all. So what kind of brought you to BCS? What made you decide to make this your home?
We saw it as an opportunity. We had lived around the world, and we had most recently been in the Woodlands. And traffic is a problem.
Oh yeah.
We saw Bryan-College Station. We came here often for A&M events.
Mm-hmm.
And we just thought that it could be an opportunity to be somewhere with a little small town flavor, but live large with activities and become an opportunity to become involved in the community.
I love that. What about you?
Like I mentioned, I've worked in Bryan a majority of my career. It's not too far from Snook, just a short 20-minute drive.
You still have family there?
Yes.
So you would just want to be
Actually
close
still
by.
live there too. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. So how did you first get involved with dementia awareness and caregiving? Was there a moment or experience that kind of pulled you into the cause?
So I work with Mere Care Consultants, and we were very instrumental in establishing the city of Corpus Christi, where our former corporate office was. We got them established as a dementia-friendly city, and we thought we would like to bring that opportunity to the Bryan and College Station area. Initiative here a year ago.
Awesome.
And I got involved with dementia on 2 levels. My mom, and she lived to be 96, in the last, I'd say, 3 years, dementia started creeping in with her. So I was involved with that. But then from a more personal perspective, about 10 years ago, my husband had a series of some minor strokes, and with the MRIs that were done at that time, it showed that he did have vascular dementia, which was a result of many years of blood pressure issues.
Gotcha.
So that was the first time that it became personal on a much more personal level.
So it sounds like there's maybe a few different types of dementia. Would you mind kind of going over what those different diagnoses look like?
Well, I'm not an expert,
Right.
but I believe there's like 48 different types of dementia.
Wow.
With their 10 being the most common.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that even if, say, 2 people have vascular dementia, they're going to experience it very differently.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some commonalities that are congruent in each of the categories, and so it is helpful to know what type of dementia a loved one or family member, friend has, because their decline in their behavior, it's predictable, if
Right.
you will, but there are a lot of outliers that there's no cookie cutter cases.
Right, definitely. So, how has kind of your journey as the board members and caring for your spouse been with this dementia friendly BCS organization?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, just kind of what's your personal journey been, just with this organization?
So I am currently the chairperson for Dementia Friendly BCS. On a personal level, I work with our clients through Mere Care Consultants who have dementia. So I work on a one-to-one basis with our social engagement program, Thoughtful Engagement. Um, yeah.
And like I mentioned, 10 years ago, we were living in the Woodlands, and that's when my husband was first diagnosed. We were advised to wait a couple of years before, because at the time we were looking at coming here to retire, but we were told it was best to push pause, which we did. And then 8 years ago, we moved here. And my primary degree is in special ed, and so I was very used to, behavior plans, modifications, accommodating, things like that. So I was cruising right along, and I thought that, I got this. And then COVID came, and the isolation of COVID really caused a decline.
Right.
And that socialization is so key with regardless of what type of dementia you have. And so we saw a big hit with COVID. And so, and then there were a couple of things that happened that it was like, okay, I'm out of my, wheelhouse, and I need some some support or just some help. And I'm a very pragmatic type of personality. So I like to be prepared before I need to be prepared. And so there were a couple of incidences that sort of caught me off guard, which didn't set well with me. So I started seeking out support groups at that time here in this area. And like I said, it was post-COVID. And a lot of them had shut down during that time. So it actually took me about 4 months to find one that was up and going.
Right.
And it was being run by Lindsay Armstrong, who's also a board member from St. Joseph's. So I got on with her in the fall of 21. And then after about a year or so, I guess, she approached me and said that Dementia Friendly BCS was just starting to get organized, and they were looking for someone who to be a board member who had a personal experience with it. Would I consider it? And my initial reaction was like, I don't think so. I just didn't feel like I was qualified, and I tend to be more of an Indian than a chief. And so, but after a lot of prayer and thought, it was like, okay, I want to make this mess a message. And so, and having sort of a teacher and caregiver past, it was like, okay, this is a way that I can honor God by stepping forward and sharing with others. And so that's when I stepped on. So it's been about a little over a year for me involved with this.
Wow, that's amazing. It's incredible that, as you were looking for this path, this guidance, it all kind of came together at right time. So Dementia Friendly BCS aims to create an inclusive, respectful, and supportive environment for people with dementia and their families. What progress are you most proud of so far?
I think with our outreach to the community, we've held several events this year, educational events, and just events in general, just to give the community what Dementia Friendly BCS is about. And we've got a lot of good feedback from those events.
Amazing. So it's in June you had a caregiver event, is that correct?
Correct.
And what were kind of the main takeaways from that event?
Well, we were very blessed to have Tam Cummings as our speaker it was a full day event. And Tam Cummings is highly renowned in the area of dementia. And so she's written a couple of books that I have found a lot of resources and information in. And for her to be here and give just a very candid information download of where you are, what you're doing, and what to expect was tremendous. And I was telling Tish before we started today, I'm still hearing people talk about that event.
Yeah.
So it was very, very successful.
What about you? What was your favorite part of the event?
I think just her being there.
Yeah.
I didn't get to hear a lot of the event because I was around, managing, making sure everything
Right.
went well. But I've heard her before in the past a couple of times, and like she said, she's phenomenal. She really breaks down dementia where you can understand it.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible. So, what are kind of the biggest unmet needs of caregivers in the BCS community right now?
Be candid. I think there's a lot of healthcare professionals in our community that don't realize how beneficial it is to be diagnosed early, because the earlier you receive the diagnosis, the more changes and adaptations you can make to prolong the quality of life for the person you're with dementia.
Absolutely.
And so that's a huge thing. We currently, in this whole area, to get officially diagnosed with a neurocognitive assessment, you have to either go to Houston or you have to go to Temple. There is no one in this area that is certified or qualified to give that type of assessment. Also, we do not have a neurologist in town that has a cognitive or dementia specialty. So, it's like if you have cancer, you don't just want to go to an oncologist. You want to go to the oncologist who specializes in the type of cancer that you have.
Right.
So when you are diagnosed with dementia, you want to go to a neurologist that is the expert in that type of care.
Right.
So there's that. There's also, I will say, still a stigma and just a lot of misinformation out there regarding dementia, Alzheimer's. Now they've renamed it. Instead of dementia, they call it mild cognitive impairment, or MCI.
Okay.
So I think they did that to maybe sugarcoat it a little bit because dementia had such a bad rap, if you will. There's a lot of jokes that people make about dementia that are not valid or whatever. So I think just a greater awareness that early diagnosis, it's not, most people think if you're diagnosed that you're going to a memory care facility next week. And like I said, my husband was diagnosed over 10 years ago. We continue to travel even internationally. It does come with some modifications and some adaptations, and perhaps we're not seeing things in the same way we would have been 15, 20 years ago. But we are still able to travel together, which is a love of ours. And, he still volunteers in the community. It might be surprising to some people that see me doing this to know that he does have dementia.
Right.
Because you can be with him for 20, 30 minutes and he can carry on a very, very lucid conversation. And because he has great social skills. And, I don't know if you're aware, but with dementia, they lose first their short-term memory, and then it sort of goes backwards. So, one of the first things we learn are social skills. How are you? I'm fine. And so you can carry on that basic social conversation late into the stages of dementia. And so, because of that, the stigma that's in this community, and I'm not just signaling, pointing out this area. I think it's around the world.
Right.
It's pervasive that with that stigma, people don't know how to interact. And so as a result, they don't interact. And you're shunned. And that actually happened to us in the Woodlands when we were initially diagnosed. People didn't know what to say, and so they didn't say anything and didn't, interact with us. And so when we moved here, I purposefully didn't tell people, and it became a need to know type of information.
Right.
And as a result, we've been able to live a much more fuller life because the stigma hasn't been there.
Right. So what's kind of this stigma? What do you want to tell people to help break it?
They need to be valued. They need to be seen. They want to engage. They want to communicate. They're a person just like you are. They want to be involved. They want to, they still have a lot of life in them to give. It sometimes comes in a different form, and sometimes the behaviors can be off-putting. So it does require some patience at times. When in doubt and you come across somebody in the community and you don't, like if you're a restaurant server and you see someone at your table, speaking out of turn or inappropriately, just give them a smile, give them a smile, and because they just want to be seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, patience and kindness can go a long way.
Exactly.
So how do you define a dementia friend in BCS? What's the board's role in expanding that community?
I guess our dementia friendly community strives to raise awareness, develop respect and inclusion for people living with dementia. We provide services and resources in all areas of the community to ensure meaningful access to the community and promote quality of life. Support and educate people with dementia, their care partners, their family, from diagnosis to throughout the disease progression.
Awesome. So what keeps you personally motivated in this work, especially during tough times?
The impact that we're making in the lives of those living with dementia as well as their caregivers.
Right.
Me, if I'm to be totally honest, it's selfishness. Just being involved with the board members has been a tremendous knowledge dump for me, because each of them are experts in their fields. And so to be able to just glean of what, the resources that this community already has, but I just didn't have any clue about.
Right.
So it's just been an awareness even for me as a board member to become involved with this. So that's the selfish part of it. But yet I do want to pay it forward because I'm a firm believer that you're never given a challenge without the need to learn from it. Absolutely. And to help someone else go through it. And so because of that, I want to be that person now and, down the road as well.
Are there any personal stories either from your board activities or caregiving experience that illustrate the positive impact of this organization?
I would say from my work perspective and working with those with dementia one-on-one through our thoughtful engagement program. I've just seen them just bud, working with individuals who may have been depressed, but me coming in, working with them one-on-one, engaging them throughout the day with meaningful activities that they were either interested at one point of their life, has just been amazing to watch them flourish.
And what is this thoughtful engagement activity?
So it's a social engagement program, and I do a social history and interest with the client. I'm just trying to get an idea of their hobbies and interests, either past or future. And from those, I create our thoughtful engagement sessions. We can do those in the home with them, or we can go out in the community and do engagement sessions as well.
So what's kind of been your favorite hobby to help someone get back into?
Art.
Art.
Yes.
That's a good one.
From my perspective, it has been, as the word is getting out that we are on this dementia journey, people are seeking me as a resource, which is sometimes intimidating. However, it brings me much joy that even I can share with them, resources that are available, and some of which I haven't necessarily had to use personally, but I've been made aware of just because I'm involved with Dementia Friendly. So I'm able to give that information to others that are in need of it, and that brings me a lot of joy to be able to share that knowledge.
It's incredible. It's awesome. So kind of, before if y'all have anything else you want to share, how can our community get involved to help this cause?
They can get involved by volunteering to be on a committee with our Dementia Friendly Board. If they want to give financially, they can do so on our website. They can get involved by creating their own initiative within their home or within their business.
Money. We need money. We have a lot of good ideas about what would benefit this community. But, unfortunately, everything comes with a cost.
Right.
And we're starting from scratch. And so right now we're just sort of brainstorming how to get money. So if you're out there and you are looking for a great cause, consider us, because we are trying to make a difference.
Awesome. So kind of what do y'all have planned for the next 1 to 5 years that, if people were to donate money, that they would see it going towards?
We have a list of educational events. We've done several community surveys on what they would like to see or what they would like to learn more of. And from those, we're doing our lunch and learns from that material.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, that's the end of my questions. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share with the community to help them get to know you guys better?
We do have a event coming up in September 18th. It's going to be at First Baptist Church in Bryan. It's going to be a Dementia Live experience, simulation experience. You'll get to walk through about 7 minutes of what it feels like to have dementia and what they experience. So that'll be a pretty eye-opening event for the community to participate in.
Definitely. That's a big one. I think that's really, it's hard for people to understand something that they, unless you're physically going through it. I think that'll be a really incredible experience for people to go through.
And I will add to that, even though I live with someone who has dementia, I don't fully get what their perspective is.
Right.
So, I think it would be beneficial to everyone to sign up and have that experience.
Absolutely, guys. So, and this is September 18th.
Yes.
We'll show this flyer off. I got this, and I'll make sure to put a link in the bio so everyone can click and RSVP for that. Wonderful.
And I would like to read off the board members who are involved to
Absolutely.
give an idea of just the wealth of people and experts that we have. In addition to Tish here, who serves with Mere Care Consultants, she's our chairperson. She is an awesome leader. She keeps us all moving in the right direction. But we have Melissa Ben from the Ben Law Group. She offers that legal perspective. Amber Neal from the Area Agency on Aging. Kim Varner, who's with Watercrest Independent Living. Ashlyn Cassidy, who's with Hudson Creek Alzheimer's Facility here in town. Lindsay Armstrong, who does, she runs support groups and is involved with the St. Joseph WellFit program. Cindy Imola runs is involved with the hospice Brazos Valley. Myself, who's a caregiver. Hillary Oswald is from Christchurch. Claudia Massey is a community member. Jennifer Lewis is with Bright Star Care. Joy Ford is also a community member. And then we have 3 honorary board members who have given a lot of their time and efforts and their expertise, but just don't want to be the full board member. And that's Mark Browning with Financial Extraco Bank, Michelle Binger, who is the Contribution Key Health and Wellness Coach, and Sabrina Strawn, who's part of the Alzheimer's Association here in town.
Amazing. That's awesome. Well, I personally want to thank both of you and all of your board members. As someone who had a grandmother and then a great aunt that both suffered with dementia and Alzheimer's, I think what you're doing is incredible, and I think our community definitely needs this support.
Thank you.